Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of NISSMAT, today we are going to be discussing the 27th Constitutional Amendment or the proposed 27th Constitutional Amendment in Pakistan. And before I start, I'd like to introduce the speakers who would be there today or who would be offering their expert advice and comments is Major General Deepak Mehta on military affairs and Mr. Sipal Singh, who will be talking about the judicial aspect of the proposed amendment. A constitutional amendment in Pakistan is a formal change to its supreme legal document, the Constitution. These amendments have historically been pivotal, often reflecting the ongoing power struggles between democratic and military institutions. They shape the very nature of the state, its judiciary, and the balance of power between the federal government and its provinces. As of November 25, Pakistan is experiencing intense political debate and nationwide protests over a proposed 27th constitutional amendment. This amendment is widely seen as one of the most consequential in the country's history, with critics arguing it fundamentally restructures the state to legally centralize and expand the power of the military establishment. Basically, the amendment has two portions to it. One is the military aspect and the other is the judicial aspect. To talk about the military aspect, I will ask General Mehta to give his comments of the same. Over to you, General Mehta.
Thank you. You see, firstly, as far as this 27 amendment is concerned, this has come under criticism both by the opposition as well as the critics in Pakistan itself. This has come into being without any major discussion. Normally, these constitutional amendments take a lot of time, a lot of discussions take place. But in this case, it is not done. It has not been done. I feel that this has happened because of the fact that after Op Sindoor, they wanted to project General Munir as a hero. Now, a lot of shortcomings must have come up in their analysis after Op Sindoor. This is to cover up them up. You see, the firstly is a consolidation of power. In this case, what has happened is that the complete powers have been consolidated with Asim Munir. He has now become the chief of defense forces. That besides all the defense forces, he's also got the paramilitary forces under him. So it's a very powerful appointment. He has also done away with the appointment of Joint Chief of Staff Committee. There was some rumor going on that since Munir has been brought up much below from the ranks to become the chief by the political dispensation for their own advantage, there was a lot of dissension within the armed forces itself. Because if he's become the field marshal and he's got the immunity for life, there are a large number of people in the armed forces who have been taken to one side. So there would be certain amount of dissension. So he's become a very powerful person in Pakistan. And as what has happened in the past, right from the time of Field Marshal Ayub Khan and beyond, the army has been the major player in the governance in Pakistan. They have been, and there is the feeling that all the people who have been selected in the chiefs and the hierarchy of the Pakistan army have sort of a tacit approval of the US. Because last 30 years, US has been very closely associated with Pakistan because of the Afghanistan problem. So I think this constitutional amendment where he becomes the sole leader of the Army, Air Force, and Navy is a major change in the structural factor in the Pakistan Army per se.
Deepak, I have a question in between. You see, all the powers of the army chief, the amendment aims to give constitutional recognition to the rank of field marshal,
Yes,
granting the holder, which currently is General Asim Munir, lifelong privileges such as salary, blanket immunity from all legal proceedings. So
that's right.
that means for any action of his, he cannot be held responsible. The responsibility lies with the political dispensation, whereas the military has the power, but actually no responsibility to the people that it governs.
That's right.
And what is more surprising is that it is being abetted and passed by the current Prime Minister of Pakistan and the President, and they are siding with this amendment.
You
How
see,
do-
you brought a very interesting point. The fact is that Imran Khan, who was the prime minister earlier, he was not pro-US as anyone else. This present dispensation, political dispensation, have brought up Munir to get into power. They, as a matter of fact, they are subservient to Munir for their own existence. So it is an interesting point because as of now, there is no democracy. It is the rule of the armed forces. And as the chief of defense forces, he has the air force and the navy also under him, along with the paramilitary forces. So it has a different bearing in the democratic aspect of Pakistan.
So, how does the restructuring within Pakistan impact India?
I don't think it's going to impact very much because there is no interaction between us and the Pakistan, be it political or military, except for that DGMO level. So I don't think it's going to be very much. But yes, Munir apparently was earlier with the ISI. He could exacerbate problems in India by virtue of being the boss and also ex-ISI. The money which he get, money which is coming for either from America or or China, is actually being utilized by the very little by the political dispensation, bulk of this from the armed forces itself. So I don't think it's going to have much of an impact on India. Yeah,
Uh,
unless we have to be very careful, they may exacerbate uh, problems in India.
no, Deepak, my question was slightly different. Now that when let's say we go to war with Pakistan, now we are dealing, or Pakistan then has to combine its army, navy, and air force to sort of fight a uh, unified sort of a war against India. Now, as it is, they have combined, and the resources would also be available in a more focused manner to Pakistan.
Yes, that I agree with you. That
So,
I agree with you.
so to that extent, I think India's military dispensation has to take into account the changed positioning of Pakistan's armed forces and the capability that it has to fight against India.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, you see, about a month or two back, Pakistan made a statement that if this Op Sindoor carries on the way or it goes beyond, we will have fire all over India. That means, you see, they have exhibited some sort of a capability of sleeper cells which are operating out here. But now our government is fully aware after this incident of Red Fort, and now they're going to be going hell for leather to catch hold of these sleeper cells.
Now, switching over to the judiciary part of the amendment, you see, as part of the 26th Amendment, the Supreme Court of Pakistan had been stripped of its rights to take suo motu action against any event that occurs. So now, basically, it was reduced to just taking care of civil and criminal cases. The constitutional amendment now is going to shift to the judiciary. Mr. Sipal Singh, who's the president of NISSMAT, what are your views on the change or the proposed changes of the judiciary in Pakistan?
Let me first of all tell you that this is a very, very clever move. Most of the democratic countries should be worried about it, particularly those which are against radicalism and terrorism and people who are not in favor of any internecine warfare between themselves also going on. So it's a very clever move. And as all of us know, that it gave Munir an opportunity that immediately after the Sindhur operation, somehow or other he managed to convince his people that he has also shot down some planes of India,
Absolutely.
war planes of India. Actually, the war planes would have been shot down by the Air Force, not by the army people. Yet he has taken the credit and overruled even the Air Force. And since the Air Force also will be under him, Army also is, of course, under him, and Navy and the paramilitary forces. It's a very clever move that the credit which should have been gone to the Air Force has been taken over by him.
सर अभी तो ये है जो करे अच्छा काम करे तो मुनीर का, जो गलत काम हो तो वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब का.
A step further,
Absolutely.
a step further. The leeway and the attitude of USA after Operation Sindhur, embracing Munir Khan at the White House and giving hosting a dinner in his favor, etc., has given him a fillip to his ego that all right, I am here and nobody is now there, that I should somehow or other make use of it, and hence this constitutional amendment has been motivated. Is going to go as it is, because the present puppet prime minister also is in favor. They let it go. Because he himself already was nothing. It was already military, by and large, it was military domination. So he is going to go in. What is going to happen? Earlier, you had two marshals, you had field marshals, and twice some emergency was brought about. Army rule was brought out. Somehow or the other, it was in the time from two earlier generals also did it. But the constitution being in place, this was brought back on the race because the constitution amendment was not brought. They brought it under the sort of, emergency rule under the army. But this was not constitutional amendment earlier. Now it is a constitutional amendment, which is going to be a very difficult process. So supposing this continues, it's going to, because if constitutional amendment has been done, that means to restore back the democracy, unless there is something like rebellion in the country or something like that, that's all. Otherwise, it is a very, very difficult process. Now, in addition to this point, I like to emphasize upon you and the audience as such, that it is going to have a lot of repercussions all over the countries which are around it. With reference to India in particular, please mark it that I am going to mention something which is a well-known fact, but yet people may not have realized. Jaish-e-Mohammed, which has been de-recognized as far as the world is concerned by Pakistan also. It's a terrorist organization, and Pakistan also has not approved it. But yet, it is basically functioning there. And all the pro-Islamic, pro-radical elements are being pampered by this field marshal. In view of that, the repercussions are likely to be the repercussion in India can be that, all right, probably now there is one uniform command, there's no civil government, there's no army government, so we can have a direct contact with Air Marshal and get our things done, negotiation done. B, that it can give fillip to the terrorist activities in India, because there is going to be a person who is absolutely, totally pro-Islamic and who is absolutely against Indian policy of any reconciliation, which India has been trying to do. So it is going to have a far-reaching effect as far as India is concerned. And in view of the constitutional amendment, it will be very difficult for India to persuade other political leaders that you bring about back from sort of military rule to the civil rule. So therefore, this constitutional amendment has got a very far-reaching effect, not only for other countries around, but also for India. And somehow or the other, he is under the impression that USA is definitely going to support him. Unfortunately, the USA has always been supporting the army people, because it can easily manipulate some of the army officers. They'll give them some, how much land, how much money has poured in, which ultimately has not gone to the funds, or not gone to the Pakistan, but it has gone to ISI.
That's right.
These funds have been pouring in and going to ISI. 90% of the funds were filtered away into ISI by these army generals. So therefore, I am of the view that in this case, it may become a puppet in the hand of the Western power like USA. With the result, they may create problems. Secondly, as far as the democratic countries around are concerned, it will be a very very anxious period. And as far as India is concerned, we have to immediately, our borders, we have to watch out. Our vigilance inside, we have to mount up. Our internal forces should be tightened, because he may, after taking office, to create a credibility for himself, try to do some mischief, try to get some mischief created in India. This is my submission as far as the judicial amendment. So as judicial amendment means, it is totally in his hand. Unless you constitutional amendment come back, because it is now in his hand. That is why this is very dangerous move as far as the democratic countries, as well as peace-loving countries are concerned. Because he is totally pro-Islamic in the sense that he has been at one time associated with the Taliban.
So,
Pawan, the question that you raised about the judicial restructuring, you see, in the past, the Supreme Court of Pakistan has given certain verdicts which were not palatable to the political dispensation, also to the army there. Now, what they've done is they have curbed the powers of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court cannot deal with the constitutional aspects. They have raised a new federal constitutional court. Now, this new federal constitutional court, the government is going to find the judges for that.
Quite right.
You see, they will find their own people to give a judgment in their own favor. It's a very big change in the complete judicial system of Pakistan.
You see, also it weakens the provincial autonomy. The proposal also includes measures that would roll back some of the powers granted to the provinces under the 18th Amendment of the Constitution.
Correct.
Particularly concerning financial resources and federal control over certain ministries. So the judicial reforms are going to be going to impact the livelihood of the people in Pakistan much more than anything else. And now the power is only going to get centered around the people that are nominated by the government or the military in power of the day.
Correct. Absolutely. Now, you see, this the aspect of giving immunity. Immunity has been given to the field marshal and also to Asif Ali Zardari, who is the president, because he has to ratify the bill. So it is a joke which is going on, but I'm sure the people over a period of time will realize the folly, and hopefully things should get back to
shape. Time frame. Such things, don't last. When Ayub Khan took over, Yahya Khan took over, everyone was thinking that now there will be an army regime. It was indirectly an army regime, but somehow or the other, the constitution was still intact. That is why it would come back. So my point is that it, in this case, will take much more time because the constitutional review may not be possible. Ultimately, it will on the masses, local. How long and how much time it will take for masses to realize actually their democratic rights are being snatched. But how long it will take is a question mark. So my point is that in this case, the move is a very sinister move. It is a very difficult operation for us. We may have done Sandur operation. Now, if we go ahead and there is no constitution to come bringing back, he'll go whole hog. He is that type of person.
So you see, I have only a couple of more comments to add on this. One is that the constitutional amendment requires 75% of the assembly to sort of concur. And they've always been getting the votes by just one additional to the minimum that is required. So despite the bill being highly controversial and proposes two major changes to the country's power structure, I think the implications for the people of Pakistan and for the neighboring countries is very sinister. And the primary implication, I think, is the potential shift from a de facto hybrid system where the military was wielding informal power. It is now to a legally codified system where the military's dominant role in governance, security, and law is enshrined in the Constitution of Pakistan.
Pawan,
Haji.
in a sense, this 27th amendment appears as the most sweeping structural change, I think, most sweeping structural change in the Pakistan Constitution. Now, earlier, since 1973, actually, the Constitution itself has been tinkered with here and there. But at present, it codifies what many critics say is a de facto state of affairs, that is military dominance at present. De facto state is there. There's a military dominance, but it codifies the military dominance. That is the difficulty.
There's no doubt.
No, and then another thing, you see, we are talking about 27 amendments in Pakistan Constitution. You look at India, we've had 106 amendments to our Constitution. So,
but it did not affect the democracy per se.
so you see, so
the new constitutional post which has been created, Chief of Defense Forces, with everything under him, which consolidates everything, Army, Navy, Air Force, other forces in the way. This is absolutely, I think, a very, very difficult abolition of the long-standing office of the chairman. Earlier, there was a chairman of your Joint Chiefs of Arms. That has been abolished. You try to understand. That has been abolished under this.
Sir, you know why it has been abolished? Some time back, some officers of the Pakistan Army, so there's one report to that effect, they wanted Munir to be taken out. And they wanted the then chairman of the Joint Committee to take over the role of the Chief of the Army Staff. What he has done is that he has removed this appointment per se, so that no one comes and threatens his future in the threaten him in the future.
Sir, another very dangerous move, Mr. Pawan. Another very dangerous move is that granting the CDF, is the CDF now, granting the CDF powers to recommend appointments to the National Strategic Council Committee, which is dealing with nuclear structure. All appointment under the nuclear strategy of the country will come under the grant of the CDF. He have to give the approval for appointment of this, which means that it's a clear sort of the nuclear command indirectly also comes under him, because he is the person who has to exercise unified oversight on all the services, and also particularly I am talking to you, which you have not indicated earlier, that is the National Strategic Command, that is the nuclear command. That is a very difficult process, because he is saying that appointment will be done under his approval. It is indirectly the same thing, that wherever you have some people appointed by a person, they'll come under his command indirectly, though it is not direct command, but they are being appointed, so it's approval of his. Therefore, I am of the view that Pakistan's civil military relations, which have been long been strained in Pakistan civil military relation earlier. Civil and military relation in Pakistan has already been a lot of strain between them. But now the military has played a sort of role where this will be a dominant role. And the political, historically, I think the judiciary and the politics or politicians historically have gone to the background. This is another thing.
Traditionally, the military has always held supreme power in Pakistan. The civilian authorities have always been subjugated to the role of the military. And all that is now what was done informally is now become formalized, and it is law. Earlier on, it was not law, but now it is law.
And it is being termed by critics that this particular 27th Amendment is also being termed as a constitutional coup, because the major shift of power away from civilian institutions towards military is really a sort of coup, which can be called a constitutional coup.
I have one point to say. All right, they have done the amendment, they have got the sanction, whatever it is, but there's a lot of dissension within the country itself. Like this one chap by the name of Rema Omar, who's a legal advisor in the International Commission of Jurists. It's a non-government organization, is based in Geneva. He has said that this is going to be a very counterproductive amendment. So even the jurists,
Deepak, I have a opinion on this. Any amendment is of the Constitution is done by the Parliament,
yes,
right? And therefore, everybody can have a difference of opinion. You can have an opinion. This particular gentleman sitting in Switzerland can have an opinion. It does not matter. What
That I
matters,
agree. That I agree.
what matters is whether you have the power to change the Constitution in a legal manner that is set across. And today, the legal manner is you get 75% of the votes in the Parliament, you will be able to change the Constitution.
That's right. No, I'm with you. I'm
Once-
with you.
And that is why today the critics, particularly who look after the powers of judiciary, etc., they say it is a step towards authoritarianism, constitutional authoritarianism. Because it is authoritarianism, but it is being termed as a constitutional authoritarianism.
And now I think it's time to conclude the session, sir. And I'd like to thank General Mehta and the President of NISSMAT, Mr. Sipal Singh, for sharing their views on the 27th Constitutional Amendment of Pakistan. At least one thing is very clear now. I think India knows as to when they have to talk. Whom do they talk to in Pakistan?
That's what I said. No,
So thank you very much, all of you,
Thanks. Pleasure being with you all.
for a wonderful conversation that we've had. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
thank you.